We're back on a bright and clear morning here on the Virginia side of the Potomac River, Reagan National Airport, right next to the scene of that deadly accident. And we are getting our first daylight images of the debris field, 3 separate fields. And we just heard a short time ago at a press conference, steps from where I am, that the worst fears people had have come true. It is believed, and first responders said this point blank, there are no survivors. 64 people on board the airline, 3 soldiers aboard the Army Black Hawk helicopter when they collided over the Potomac on a final approach to Reagan National Airport. The questions are now turning to how this might have happened. And for more on that, we are going to bring in somebody who knows a thing or two about the Army side of this, how to fly Black Hawk helicopters. This is a retired Lieutenant Darin Gaub. He was a battalion commander. He's flown hundreds of hours in a Black Hawk, including in this very tricky D.C. area. Lieutenant, do we have you? Good morning.
Yep. Hey, good morning. Yeah, and for your good, just Colonel's fine. That way, I've been in a while.
My apologies, Lieutenant Colonel. I didn't mean to demote you there on live television. I do want to get your insights. You've seen some of the videos. People are wondering how this could have happened. We keep hearing it's routine as well for these flights to be interacting in the air, just not this close. What's your first thought seeing what video exists?
Yeah, thanks for having me on. And of course, what a tragedy. Prayers to the families, of course. But my first impressions were based on the video that I think everybody has seen right now at night with the 2 aircraft running into each other. I'm wondering what caused the helicopter itself to not even turn, to probably not even see that other airplane. And they, as you saw, they continued on with their airspeed. They didn't adjust or turn or do anything. So based on that, I'm wondering if potentially they confused the aircraft that you saw on takeoff with the one they thought they were supposed to follow behind per the air traffic control directions. And didn't see the one landing. Now, these are all hypotheticals, but we're going to have to wait and hear the tapes from air traffic control and see some of the video actual radar tracks from the tower facility on the airfield right now, because the Black Hawk helicopter doesn't have many of the systems that civil aircraft do when it comes to black boxes and collision avoidance warning systems.
Colonel, could you take us into the cockpit of a Black Hawk and talk about what the visibility is like? In my limited understanding, the nose is a little bit pitched down, and generally the eyes of the pilot are on the ground below, not the air above. But walk me through it. What would a pilot in a standard situation be looking at, be able to see from the cockpit?
Well, the Black Hawk has actually very, very good visibility relative to some other aircraft, but the pilots in the front, I can guarantee you, they're taught and they're trained, because I went through the exact same training, that airspace awareness and scanning the airspace is absolutely critical in any environment. You put them in this environment where there are hundreds of flights that go in and out every single day, that scanning has to be even more disciplined and frequent. So they're going to be looking at the sky, they're going to be looking at the ground and straight ahead. The other aspect that needs to be accounted for, too, is the fact that there's normally or could be up to 2 crew chiefs in the back seats that are sitting 90 degrees opposite of the pilot's normal straight ahead field of view. They had 1 crew chief and not 2. That could be a factor that needs to be accounted for in the investigation, and it will be. I promise you, I've been through these before. But the visibility in the Black Hawk is good. The other question then becomes, were they aided, which means under night vision goggles, or were they unaided using the eyes like normal? Both of those have advantages and disadvantages. Night vision goggles can reduce your field of view down to about 40 degrees per pilot, so you have to scan even more, but you can see more. If you're unaided, your field of view is normal, but you can see less, and you could potentially mix up aircraft lights and ground lights together at certain altitudes, and maybe potentially even miss seeing an aircraft altogether.
Colonel Gaub, quickly here, we're running out of time a little bit. I have a question about congestion. You mentioned the possibility that the pilot thought a different plane was the commercial plane and therefore didn't avoid what in fact was the threat. that raises the question of whether there are just too many flying vehicles in the air around this airport. You've been in these skies. What's your opinion?
Well, that's been a concern for many years, especially post 9/11. I think NTSB will have to analyze that with all of their experts together and come to a common answer of what they suspect that reality is. It is very dense. It is high risk because of that. There are specific corridors and airspace restrictions that are extremely effective as a result as well when they are followed. That'll be the question is, were they followed? Because the corridors around there I'm familiar with have very specific directions and limitations to them that keep you out of fixed wing traffic around Reagan. But aviation is still a human endeavor, and mistakes can be made no matter how well trained you are.
Colonel Darin Gaub, thank you for bringing your humanity, your expertise to it this morning. We really appreciate your time.
Thank you.